Let's talk Davante Adams. According to the Athletics' Diana Rossini, an Adams trade could go down soon, and possibly very soon. She's saying within the next 24 hours or 48 hours, the Las Vegas Raiders want to get rid of their all-pro wide receiver. And I interpreted that as there are teams calling, the market is hot, and they are ready to make a move. They are just narrowing their choices and picking the best one. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers involved? I think there are two sides to this conversation right now. The first one, Robert Saleh is out in New York. That team looked terrible on Sunday. Terrible. One team always looks real bad in London. Always. I don't know why. They always look terrible in London. This week it was the Jets. Aaron Rodgers looks washed. The Jets look bad. Robert Saleh is on his way out. Do you think that has any impact in Davante Adams wanting to go to the Jets and reunite with Aaron Rodgers?
Something tells me Robert Saleh wasn't the reason that Davante Adams wanted to go to the Jets.
I agree.
I'm going to say it doesn't affect very much, because I think the reason the Jets made this move so quickly and so abruptly was to show that they're serious about turning the season around, and they're not going to punt on the season, and instead they're going to try to make a quick turnaround here. So I don't think this affects the Davante Adams situation at all. I think that, if anything, it tells Adams, hey, we're more serious because we're not going to let some of this stuff slide. Come to the Jets. We'll try to turn this around with you.
Okay. I agree with you. I don't know if it's going to work, but I do agree with that mindset. I do agree with that. Then there's the Pittsburgh Steelers side of things. 48 hours. They saw absolutely no productivity from their wide receivers on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's perfect timing where we sit here right now. I think if you asked me, man, when is the best time for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be really, really pushed and really urged to go make a wide receiver trade and just say, screw it, we are out of excuses. Sometimes the signs are there. You got to take them. Well, I would tell you that it's the week that George Pickens has a meltdown and he gets benched. That would be my solution to this one. That would be my best case scenario. Perfect time for the universe in the NFL world to say, hey, guys, we got one for you. And this time he said, hey, guys, we got one for you. His name's Davante Adams, and he's still really good. He's actually healthy again because that hamstring injury, good to go now, ready to play in week 6. And you play the Raiders. Which means that I get it. He wants to go to the Jets. I get it. He wants to go to the Saints. Nobody should want to go to the Saints right now. They look atrocious. And the Jets, they don't look too hot either. I get it. It's Aaron Rodgers, but they don't look too hot.
You could make the same argument about the Steelers.
I'm getting there
too.
I'm getting there. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm getting there. When it comes to the Steelers, they don't look hot either. They don't look too hot either. But the Steelers have a certain little calibration here that I think works in their favor when it comes to both sides of things. For one, the Jets are all in on this season. I get it. But the Jets just showed a display of the Jets are the Jets, and they will always be the Jets, and the Jets are never good. There's a reason that the Jets have lived a miserable life in this franchise, and those fans constantly tell you how miserable it is to be a Jets fan. There's reasons. New Orleans, nobody should be thinking. I get it. The Steelers don't look hot. They don't look as bad as New Orleans. I picked up Derek Carr, okay, on my fantasy football team. I picked him up over Sam Darnold in week 3. You want to know how bad that decision has been for me? He's averaged 6 points a game. 6 points a game, Nick. That's terrible. Terrible. Derek Carr is not the guy. That offense has fallen right off. At least Pittsburgh's gives you a fighting shot. They got this guy named Mike Tomlin who has a grip over everybody. There is no coach in the NFL that anybody would want to play for more than Mike Tomlin, maybe except for Andy Reid. But it's Mike Tomlin. They got Justin Fields, and I think Russ would have been exciting, but I think Justin Fields is exciting. And I think guys would want to come play with Justin Fields and what he can bring to a football team. And Davante wants to be the guy. Davante wants to be on a team that could compete for a Super Bowl where he could have his 100 catches and 1,000 yards, and he's not going to lose, and he's going to get paid. The Pittsburgh Steelers are willing to pay you. They do not have a number 1 wide receiver right now. I get it. They have George Pickens, but you're the number 1 if you come to Pittsburgh, and maybe you trade George Pickens for Davante Adams. And they are easily in the hunt. Actually, they're the 3 that have a winning record right now. And I get it. They lost their last 2, but they're still 3-2 Mike Tomlin does not lose and they're hunting for a Super Bowl. There are those reports out there of the Steelers just want a shot to talk to Davante. If they get an opportunity to talk to Davante, Mike Tomlin will persuade him to come to Pittsburgh. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's something that scares you? For me, it's the obvious ones: death, loss, failure. Halloween lets us have fun with what scares us, but what about those fears that don't involve zombies and ghosts? Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears while finding ways to overcome them, because sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place and holding ourselves back. I'm somebody who's benefited from therapy for a long time, and I've been an advocate for therapy for years, and I'm excited to tell you guys about BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/allsteelers today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/allsteelers. Like, he doesn't get to make that decision. Davante does not have the whole say in what's going on here, but he could push that envelope a little bit. And I think Mike Tomlin, if he gets his hands on getting an opportunity to talk to him, will. Then there's the what does it cost? I'm going to ask you again. I asked you this yesterday. I'll ask you today after everything we've heard. Do you think there's a shot the Steelers would trade George Pickens for Davante Adams?
I still find it pretty hard to believe this season, simply because it's not a rebuilding year. You're not 1-5 at the moment. You're 3-2. You still have belief, and I understand everything we saw with George, but
yeah,
what makes it different between last year and this year with George? You're going to deal with the same stuff, and I'm sure there's a question in here. I believe there is a question in here. Does Davante come in and actually help George? Does having that second receiver help George Pickens kind of understand,
maybe.
Okay, now that there's somebody on the opposite of me, maybe I'll get some more opportunities. Maybe I'll get the ball fed to me a little bit more. Maybe I won't be double covered, and maybe I'll get a little bit more drawn up for me. So there's a chance that happens. I just don't think that the Steelers are into kind of putting themselves in a similar situation just because they don't want to deal with the drama. I think that right now they're so in tune with trying to win a Super Bowl that they don't want to cut off their nose to spite their face at the wide receiver position.
Okay, so I'll change the question here.
Okay.
How long do you give George till the bye or till the trade deadline at this point, which is 3 weeks, to show progress before you make a move there? If George is still drama-filled George, this is an issue. This remains an issue. Week 8, we got Davante. Nothing's happening. Nothing's changing. If anything, George might be getting worse. Do you make a move then?
No, I say you can sit on the bench by yourself for 6 more weeks.
Okay. I like benching him. I wouldn't be opposed to benching him. You know what I mean? I'm all about players getting benched when you deserve to get benched, and not putting your full effort on the field deserves to get benched. I'm sorry. It does.